How y'all doing this evening? All right. Well, my name is Seth Weinberg. I am the owner of the Vintage Whiskey Vault here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's Tennessee's first store that focuses on collectible and consumable vintage whiskeys, bourbons, spirits, as well as some old whiskey and liquor antiques like you see up here on the bar. We even go as far as vintage bourbon clothing and advertising pieces. Like you might see this Body by Jim Beam t-shirt right here. That's a 1980s, 1990s vintage shingle stitch t-shirt, and obviously you have to have the body to be able to wear it still. Anyways, we're gonna go back on a little bit of a journey today. We're not gonna make just your normal cocktail that you can go get at every bar. What I do is work with bars and restaurants all over the country who want to focus on offering something really special in their bars. So we're going to make you kind of a classic cocktail, but with a twist, and mainly that twist is using all vintage spirits. So the name of this cocktail is Spirit of 76, which has to do with America's bicentennial. Bicentennial, baby, all right. We're going to make some whiskey with a cocktail with some whiskey from the year you were born, actually. So together, all the ingredients in this cocktail are going to add up to being distilled over 200 years ago. Coming up next year in 2026 is America's semi-quincentennial. I know that's a tough one to remember, but that's our 250th anniversary. So this cocktail really pays an homage to America, to Bourbon Plus magazine, and just whiskey drinkers in general. So let's get going. First thing we're going to start with here is a little bit of Jim Beam bourbon from 1976. So this was bottled 50 years ago almost for America's bicentennial.
Is that Ben Franklin on the cover?
That is Ben Franklin. So this is actually a old painted glass decanter, and they released these for America's bicentennial. So we're going to do a nice big pour of bourbon here. I like to do 2 full ounces. A little bold cocktail. I always like to let the base ingredient show. So that is Ben Franklin. That's actually a painting done by Norman Rockwell for the Post magazine. He did a lot of covers for them, and so they took some of his old covers of the old Post magazines and put those onto a bottle for America's bicentennial. So we got a nice, strong, rich base there for our cocktail. And so what we're doing is actually a twist on a Boulevardier. After that, instead of your classic build, we're still going to use sweet vermouth, but this is some old Carpano Punta Mes vermouth, which is a little bit richer, sweeter, sweet vermouth. And I wanted to use this. Have you guys ever heard what an old bottle sounds like when it's first been opened after being in the bottle for 50 years? Well, sometimes they're a little hard to open, but it sounds just like opening any other bottle. So sorry to disappoint you there. It's just a small crack, but we're going to use 3/4 of an ounce of Carpano Punta Mes. This bottle's from the 1970s as well, just like the Jim Beam was. And this was actually sold in Italy. And then
you opened that for us tonight?
We just opened that for you tonight. This is a very special group, so absolutely. And if you want to try any of these ingredients afterwards individually, they're all very unique, because what you're tasting here is history, but you're also tasting time and place. So the reason why vintage spirits and bourbons and whiskeys are so special is because they come from a time when the water was different, environmental factors, different people making the spirits, and sometimes different machinery. So you really can't recreate these spirits or this cocktail again today with the brand's same ingredients. So we love Carpano from today, we love Jim Beam from today, we love Campari from today, but they're all very different. The one unique thing about this Campari from the 1990s is that it used actually regular carmine coloring, which is actually coloring from a beetle. Now they use artificial coloring, so we'd like to say, that they still make a great product today, but this one might be like a little bit healthier or something like that, even though it's older. They definitely did things differently back then. So the last thing that we're going to do is a little twist on this. We're going to use some Angostura bitters, but as you can see, this bottle's probably been sitting in somebody's grandmother's liquor cabinet for quite a few years. This was actually bottled in 1962. So we're going to add a couple dashes of that just to give it some of that grandmother's basement flavor profile, which is actually a pretty good thing. So there's all our ingredients in there. We're going to cool these down and see how this cocktail comes out for you guys. All right. Since I'm just making one cocktail, what I'm gonna do is just pretend like I'm doing a little rodeo thing here. You know, I've got my other hand free. Since I got the cowboy hat on, you know, I'm not as talented as the Kinde, so we gotta give it there. So after we get that nice and cold, you know, you can already smell this cocktail from here. The ingredients are popping out of the glass. It's a really special thing. We're tasting 200 years of history right here. So what we're gonna do, normally Boulevardier is served on the rocks. We're gonna just serve it neat in one of these vintage rocks glasses from the Stitzel-Weller distillery, because now that this cocktail's already been chilled down, we just want you to enjoy it as long or as slow as you'd like. There's no time limit to enjoying a good cocktail. It's like, you know, kind of that Tennessee way. We drink low and slow. So what we will do is express a nice big orange peel over the top. Give it some great aromatics. That's the only thing that's new, because I'm guessing a 100-year-old or 200-year-old orange doesn't taste as good, but we still want to include it in the drink. So just a simple Boulevardier with the twist, the spirit of 76. So cheers to bourbon and to America.